All right, hello everybody. We're currently at the Maplewood Richmond Heights gym playing between Metro and Maplewood Richmond Heights girls volleyball. This is the JV team and they are just about to start. There we go, there's the scoreboard there. Everyone's feeling very confident about this game. I talked to both coaches for both teams. And of course, there's a level of trepidation. You don't know what state the other team is in, especially with such a rocky year. But both are confident and both talked about bringing energy. What they're hoping for is just the stamina and the energy to carry them through the sets. There's a new rule in just high school volleyball that I think in varsity specifically, you can have 5 sets. Usually it just went to 3 sets, but now you can do the 5, and that can be asked for. So if a team is winning by 2 sets, then we can just stick with the 3 sets, or if a team kind of wants a fighting chance, they can go to 5 sets. So energy has become a very big player in these games. So Metro has the ball, they have the serve. It looks like number 22, Gamble, about to serve. And with that, we have our first server error. MRH's JV team now has possession. Number 10, Winning, will be serving. A very strong serve that goes right to the middle of the court. And with a bump from Metro, it goes just out of bounds. Winning's going to be serving again. And it just hits the tape, but it hits the floor. MRH is serving again. It's always good to get ahead this way, just being able to rack up points through aces, which is what we're seeing. A bump from Metro, a set, and then smacked right into the net. Already we're seeing MRH take the lead. By the way, my name's Michelle. I'm usually commentating with Michael, but currently he's taking over the boys' soccer game that's going on right now just outside. So it's just me up here in just spectating this sport. Usually we would have tons of spectators in a game like this. We would have the stands packed with family and friends, but because of COVID guidelines, we can't have any spectators beside coaches, other players, and myself. So Metro serving. And just out. All right, number 8, Lexi Brooks serving. A good serve that is bumped by Metro. It's bumped back. Lexi gets right in there. It's set up. Bumped by Metro. Set. Bumped over to Maplewood. And despite a very good dig by Metro, Maplewood gets the serve again. Brooks serving. That was a great save by Metro. There we go, a bump. Number 22, Gamble from Metro. She's definitely working hard. I saw that dig. She managed to get under the ball, send it back to Maplewood. And now Metro is serving. Number 31, Detal serving. And unfortunately, it looked like a little bit of a communication error on behalf of Maplewood. It looked like number 8, Brooks, backed up into Powell to try and get there first. A good serve by Metro and a great dig, which results in a set, and it's sent back to Metro. A set by Metro, but it looks like it was a double touch. Howell serving. A very, very powerful bump by Metro. And just like that, Metro is serving again. Usually something you see with JV teams is a lack of communication. I mean, already we're seeing some fantastic play, some great saves of just energy, as I was talking about earlier, playing with energy, getting there, not leaving a ball, oh, is it in, is it out, but managing to get under it in time. So these girls are playing really well for the limited season that they've had, but there are a few errors of people backing into each other. Another ace for Maplewood. Currently the score is 9-4. Number 12, Avery Swift serving for MRH. And right there, another ace. You heard an MR ace. It just happened. It hit right there in the middle of the court. It's interesting because Metro does have a libero, but I don't think they're playing her right now. And that's usually where you would have somebody. I mean, I'm sure they have a defensive specialist, but it's interesting that that is where MRH is targeting them. And that's usually where you would have a libero. But I'm sure we will get to see her play later in the game. And again, another ace in the same spot. Swift serving again. And a good serve that is bumped by Metro and just set over, but it looks like it was a double touch. All right, a timeout has been called. MRH is currently leading at 13. Metro is at 4. You want to have a 2-point lead on the other team. Sets go to 25 points, but if there isn't a 2-point lead, then they can go longer. So it's important to secure that lead early in the game, which is what we're seeing from MRH. We're seeing a lot of aces, and this is very good for JV, especially seeing as they played Bayless some time ago, and we were seeing a lot of server errors from them. And Bayless was just hammering them, especially towards the back of the court. They just kept targeting that area and scoring aces. So this is something that I'm seeing. We're seeing MRH rack up these aces, getting ahead early in the game. A strong bump by Metro, a set by Maplewood. We're seeing some nice back and forth. In case viewers are a little bit confused, I know we've got a camera angle very far away from the game. MRH is in blue with white piping black bottoms. Metro is in all black. A bump from Metro, but it goes the wrong way, out of bounds, and Maplewood is serving again. A little bit of a tangle in the net, and Metro manages to gain the serve. It's a little bit hard there up against that net communication, and especially if you've got some tall, intimidating players on the other team, you might not want to get up that close to the net because you've got these massive people standing right there. So it's hard being an attacker because you have to deal with people jumping, trying to just tap the ball over, which is what we saw right there from Metro. Metro with a strong serve that is bumped. Metro saves the ball. That would have gone out of bounds, but unfortunately, Maplewood is serving with number 13's Kayla Brooks. With just like that, Metro sends it back very quickly after that serve. And again, we're seeing a little bit of entanglement in the net, a bit of confusion there. There's also a level, I say this every game, depth perception. You have this massive net right there and players behind it, and you might not be aware how close you are to that net, or if you do need to jump and defend. Acreage serves, and it hits the net. Metro is managing to catch up with Maplewood, especially with that really strong serve there. So strong, it looked like it ricocheted off a player that wasn't expecting it. I was talking to Metro's coaches, and they mentioned that the JV team is especially new this year. They only have 4 seniors on their varsity team, very new players on JV. They only had 1 varsity member leave to play a club sport, so for the most part, their varsity team has stayed intact. Meanwhile, MRH has had a number of players who've decided to join a club sport or not play at all this year. And this can be difficult because that means that players who usually would have been rotated out have to play longer. I was talking to some varsity members like Abby Stone and Rachel Dickens, their libero, who mentioned that they have to play the entire game sometimes because there's just not anybody that could sub for them. And after a really good rally, we see Metro just score a point in the middle of the court. Metro 10, MRH at 18. They've managed to make up some lost ground. Looks like number 25 is serving. A bump and just a little bit of a tap, trying to get it over to Metro, but Stack is still serving. And here we have Metro subbing in their libero, protecting that middle of the court that was recently attacked by MRH. A good bump and just sent right over to Metro, who sets it up. Again, we're seeing a little bit of a communication error. Maplewood running toward the setup volleyball to serve it over. And we had an out of bounds spike. Right there. Very powerful serve by Metro, which landed right in the middle of the court. There was nobody really there, nobody paying attention on Maplewood's side. A great ace that you don't want to let happen. And we're seeing a little bit of back and forth. The attackers on both sides of the net trying to defend. Brooks is serving for MRH. Metro sets it up. And with a very good spike by Metro, we have a bit of a rally. Looks like that was a double touch. We're seeing Metro's attackers just here in the front doing lots of jumping. They're very tall. This reminds me quite a bit of JV's game against Bayless. They had some great attackers that just did their jobs really well. They knew when to jump, when to just tap the ball over, and usually it would make contact with the floor and score them a point. So we're seeing this a little bit from Metro. They're making up some lost ground. MRH with 20, Metro with 14. You need a 2-point lead to win the set. Here we see a setup by Metro, a bump over. Powell gets in there, and Brooks, and a nice little tap that gives it to Metro by MRH. Powell serving for MRH. And an MRH ace. Powell serving again. Metro scrambles, manages to bump it over, and here we have it. We have the match point. Powell will be serving for it. A bump by Metro and a set. It looked like Metro gave a double touch. And so far, MRH has won the first set. This is very good for a team to get ahead early in the game. You don't want to be in a position where you've lost one, you're trying to bring it back, and you result in a one-on-one fighting for the third set. It can be pretty exhausting, especially if you have lost the second set and you're trying to fight for that third set. And especially with the new rule stating that a team can go to 5 sets if it's asked for. And we saw that in the game against Brentwood. It was a new rule. We had Ellen Powell run up to us while we were commentating saying the game is not... Actually, she ran saying we had conflicting messages. First, it was like, guys, remember it's 3 sets. Later, we heard from her that it was, in fact, going to 5 sets because it was specifically asked for. And at the end of the day, Maplewood won. But so far, we've had a couple of losses. We had a loss against Bayless, which Miss Carmen said she wasn't too surprised by. She knew that they were a very strong team. They hadn't suffered as many losses when it came to players deciding to play club as MRH had. She spoke a lot of bringing the energy, just having the energy to play the 5 sets like we played against Brentwood. And I was also talking to Abby Stone and Rachel Dickens about the energy that it takes to play the 5 sets. And she mentioned for different people, it takes a different level out of you. If you've not played volleyball that long, such as JV, or you've just come to varsity, then you might not have the energy to go 5 sets, especially if you've been playing all of the sets. Because Maplewood doesn't have as many substitute players with decisions being made whether to play club or to not play at all with this season. So it's important to have stamina. For some people, it's exciting to play the 5 sets. It's exciting to have more game time. But for others, it can be quite exhausting. Okay, so Metro and Maplewood are just discussing as a team. We've got a little over 20 seconds to the next set starts. If Maplewood's JV wins this second set, then we'll call it a day. They will have won 2 out of 3 sets. And I'm sure everyone is hoping for that. Metro will have to win this upcoming set if they would like to play longer, if they'd like to play for the third set. All right. Well, for all of you watching, if you've just joined us, we are at Maplewood Richmond Heights Gym. My name is Michelle, and we are currently watching Maplewood Richmond Heights JV volleyball team against Metro's JV volleyball team. Metro is playing with a libero. MRH is not. MRH has the serve. Maplewood is playing the blue shirt with the black bottoms, and Metro is playing in all black. A great dig by Metro, but it gets tangled in the net. Another ace for Maplewood, a good way to start off another set. Just hits the tape, and I don't think Metro was expecting for that to go over. If the ball hits the tape, it is considered playable. If it gets tangled in the actual net part, then it's considered a server error. Savannah's winning serving again for Maplewood. Metro manages to get there in time. Should just get it over. But Maplewood still serving. We're seeing a lot of good plays by Metro. Lots of hustle. But unfortunately, we're still seeing a lot of aces on Maplewood's part. A number of double touches. In the first set, we saw like 3 or 4 on behalf of Metro, which was how Maplewood scored the match point. Metro serving. A bump by Maplewood and a spike by Durham. It's set up by Metro, but and it just goes over. That's the benefit of having tall attacking players or a defense specialist, just having somebody there who, if it's not quite going over, just being able to tap it in. In JV, lots of players don't want to get too up close near the net. It's a very aggressive spot to be. So if you've got some good attacking players who can just tap it over, just get it in that gray zone where there's not a lot of protection. We just saw that about 1 point ago with Metro. Brooks serving for Maplewood. And a server error. MRH is currently leading 6-3. Number 25, Steck, serving for Metro. A serve that is immediately bumped back and spiked over, but just out of bounds. Minnie Durham serving for Maplewood. And another ace for MRH. It's very nice to see MRH making so many aces. I mean, I'm sure disappointing for Metro, but after a game against Bayless where there were a lot of server errors or very short plays that ended in an error of one kind or another, it's good to be having those aces. All right, number 22, Gamble serving for Metro. A very powerful serve by Gamble, which lands right in front of number 10, Savannah Winning. I'm sure she wasn't expecting a serve with that power and speed. Gamble serving again. And just out. Maplewood doesn't even try and touch that. It is a bit of a skill being able to tell if a ball is going out or not. If any part of the volleyball touches that line, it is considered in. Just that white line on the gym, it's considered in and fair play, which could mean if you think it's going out, if it just touches the line, then the other team has scored. So being able to be like, that's going out, we don't have to worry about that. That's a bit of a skill that JV is still learning. A good bump and saved by Maplewood. Metro sets it up and bumps it over. Looked a little bit chaotic. I mean, from where I'm sitting, a little bit hard to see Metro, but there's a lot of clumping going on. You want to protect the middle of the court, which is why I'm sure they have a libero usually playing. It's a very sensitive position. But communication really is key in a game like this. You want to be calling. It looked like a double touch again. We're seeing a number of these by Metro. Metro with a powerful bump, and it is just in. As I mentioned previously, if any of that ball touches the line, it is in, and we saw that. Maplewood didn't go after it. Looked like it was out, but it did. It touched the line. It's in, and Metro's libero is serving. Unfortunately, it was just out. Number 20, Ava Allen, is Metro's libero. Maplewood doesn't have a libero. Number 9, Lida Sabbath with another ace. Lida Sabbath is one of those people that are in 3 different sports. Actually, a number of JV and varsity team members play multiple sports with MRH. They're very active in all of the clubs and sports MRH has to offer. Maplewood bumps it over to Metro. Metro makes the decision to save what would have been out. And so far it's working for them until they spiked it out. But sometimes it works in your advantage to save a ball that is going out of bounds. You can play off of the ball no one is expecting, create a little bit of a rally like we saw there. But if you can just get the point by letting it go out of bounds, usually that's the best. We're seeing a lot of aces from JV. Number 10, Winning, serving. And a very powerful bump by number 22, Gamble, that lands out of bounds. Winning, serving again. Metro's playing their libero. Number 20, Ava Allen, who we saw just in action right there. And a very good spike that lands right in the middle of the court. Metro wins the point. Currently, we're at 16-9. Maplewood is in the lead. Number 31, Detal serving. And again, right in the same spot as recently scored. Metro scored an ace off of Maplewood. Again, Detal is serving, hoping to do the same thing. Metro is closing the gap between Maplewood and themselves. There's only a 6-point difference. You want to have a 2-point lead to win the set. It's into the net for Metro, and now we've got Maplewood serving. Lexi Brooks serving for Maplewood. Now Metro is serving a server error that goes right in the net. We haven't seen too many of those with Maplewood. Usually we're seeing a lot more aces. But number 25, Steck serving. If you're just joining us, we're at the Maplewood Richmond Heights gym. It's Maplewood JV versus Metro's JV team. I'm Maplewood. I'm Michelle. I am in Maplewood. I'm usually commentating with Michael, but he's out with a soccer match that's playing outside of the gym. So we've split up for this game. Number 25, Steck serving again. Minnie Durham serving for Maplewood. And with a little bit of a practice throw, she prepares and sends it over to Metro. A very powerful bump. The rafters are a little bit of a player in this gym, seeing as there's such a low ceiling. Just the beams, the equipment dangling from the ceiling, it can all play a part in the game, as balls can ricochet off of it quite often. I mean, I'm looking and I see like 2 volleyballs already stuck in the ceiling from past games. Usually in professional volleyball events, anything that touches the ceiling is considered a point to the opposite team, but with such a low ceiling, I don't think we can really instigate that rule. A timeout has been called. Currently, we're at 20-12. Maplewood is in the lead. All they need is 5 points, and they will win. If they win these 2 sets, then we won't need a third set. Maplewood will have won this match. If Metro somehow pulls out and wins this set, we will go to a third game, which will decide the winner. After this game, stick around. We'll have the varsity game up next. Both Maplewood and Metro have kept the energy through the entire game. Coach Carmen, Maplewood's coach for JV and varsity, mentioned that with less players this year, more girls are able to have some playing time, just being able to experience the different positions, which is one of the main reasons why Maplewood doesn't have a libero for JV. It's just so all the girls can rotate, all the girls can experience the positions, and when they go to varsity, they'll know what they can do best. And they'll feel confident in any position that they play. Maplewood's varsity team does have a libero. It's Rachel Dickens. Number 12 for Maplewood serves another ace. Swift serving again. With only 2 points to go, Maplewood looks like they'll win their second set. Looks like it was just out there. Much to the excitement of Metro, they might have a chance to make up some lost ground. Number 26, Ben Schaff is serving. Maplewood bumps and sends it over with a great dig by Metro. And Metro celebrates. This game isn't over yet. It looked like there was a little bit of a communication error on Maplewood's side. You saw a couple of girls go, well, are you going to get it? Like in that corner, that can be a dangerous corner not to defend. Brooks attempts a dig, but Metro scores another ace. A bump. Brooks bumps it up with sets it over. Unfortunately, it looked like there was just too many touches on Metro's side. The referee is just explaining what he saw. It looked like 4 players touched the ball, and a point is awarded to MRH. Currently, we're fighting for the match point, and it is set over to Metro, a bump by Maplewood. It's set up and sent right over, but Metro rescues it. And a very good spike by Metro. Maplewood dives for it, but now Metro has the serve. Metro's libero will be serving, number 20, Ava Allen. Man, this is an interesting position to be in. Maplewood is currently on the match point, but Metro is serving and has scored an ace off of them. Currently, we're at 24-18. Allen was a powerful serve. And look at that. Metro's energy is restored here. It was sent over to Maplewood. It was blocked from coming back over to the net, and it was a little bit of a tangle, which resulted in a point, which brings the score to 24-19. But Maplewood has won after a very good back and forth, a bit of a rally there. Maplewood scores in the middle of the court. I'm sure both teams are very proud of the way they played. Maplewood wins, winning 2 sets out of 3. The final score is 25-19. Metro did a great job toward the end, managing to score aces even when Maplewood was wrestling for the match point. Don't go anywhere. We still have varsity who are playing next. As for now, if you're just tuning in, we're at Maplewood Richmond Heights Gym playing Maplewood against Metro. I'm Michelle, and I'm commentating for you guys this afternoon. We'll take a short break as varsity gets ready for their game. All right. We're back for varsity's game. Maplewood versus Metro here at the Maplewood Richmond Heights Gymnasium. I'm Michelle. Usually I'm commentating with Michael, but he's taking up the boys soccer game happening just outside this gym. Metro is warming up, preparing for the game. We just saw a really great game from both MRH and Metro's JV team. Maplewood's JV walked away with the win, winning 2 of the sets. Usually there's 3 sets, but if you win the first 2, there's really no point to play to the third set. So Maplewood was able to walk away with that win. We saw a lot of aces in that game. It was exciting, I'm sure, for Maplewood's JV, especially as there were a lot of server errors against Bayless when they were playing them some time ago. For the JV game, Metro was playing with a libero. MRH was not. The team decided that it was important for all of the players to feel comfortable in all of the positions. Of course, in this varsity team, it's very common for varsity to play with a libero, so we've got a libero for both teams. I spoke to both of the coaches before the game started, and they feel very confident about their position. Of course, there's a little bit of trepidation, not knowing what the season has been like for the other teams. In the words of Miss Carmen, she said, I don't know what state the other teams they played against were in. So Metro has won the last 3 games, but as Carmen was saying, she wasn't quite sure how good those teams were, especially with this season that's been very rocky. She didn't know if those teams were any good. So she does have high respect for Metro. She knows they're a very great team, that they will bring the energy, but she knows Maplewood has a fighting chance, and she's really not going to judge the team off the past wins. All she knows is how they're going to perform tonight. Maplewood started off good playing against Brentwood, who put up quite a bit of a fight, gaining a historical win after years of losing to MRH in the first 2 sets. They actually went to 5 sets, which is a new rule. Varsity can play to 5 sets if they ask for it. But it's been rather up and down since then. MRH lost to Bayless. But so far it's been a good night for Maplewood. Their JV team won against Metro, and I'm sure they're hoping to do the same with their varsity. Maplewood has lost a number of players to club, or players just deciding to not play this year with just the current chaos of the world situation right now. So they've had to deal with fewer players deciding to play longer, not really having enough people to sub in for different positions. So meanwhile, Metro, on the other hand, has only lost 1 player to a club game. They only have 4 seniors on their varsity team. So it's a relatively new team, mostly comprised of the juniors and the sophomores. Their JV team is also very new. Whereas Maplewood's JV team, there was a couple of familiar faces that had played JV last year. Now, the volleyball season for Maplewood and Metro looks very different this year than in years past. No one is going to state. Instead, there's a 10-game layout where you play 10 other schools in the area. I'm sure that was disappointing for teams who knew that their team was good enough to qualify for state. I mean, I commentated for the Bayless game, and they were amazing. We saw a lot of aces out of them. They played really well, and they lost absolutely no one to club sports or people who just didn't want to play this year. Everyone stayed. I think everyone knew how good their team was, so they decided to stick it out. I'm sure it was a disappointment for them, knowing that they couldn't go to state that year, especially with seniors on the team that wouldn't get to play next year. I mentioned this during the JV game, but if you're just tuning in, I was talking to Abby Stone and Maplewood libero Rachel Dickens about the new rule that teams can play to 5 sets if both teams want that. And they said it was a little bit tiring. Of course, it depends on how long you've been playing volleyball. It can be exhausting if you're losing. You know, you don't have that energy. You still want to win, but there's this feeling of, oh no, what if this doesn't work out? If you're in the bottom half, then those 5 sets can be quite exhausting. I mean, we saw Brentwood play the 5 sets with Maplewood, and they did a phenomenal job, but they still lost to Maplewood. Especially seeing as we have less subs. The people that are out on the court playing, many of them play for the entire game. That's what I heard from Maplewood, is we just don't have enough players. Abby Stone, the past couple of games, she's played the entire time. She is not being subbed out. And that can be very tiring, especially with the level of jumping, how strong these girls serve. It can be very taxing. So we'll see what happens tonight. I'm sure they hope that they can wrap up the game in just 3 sets, but we will see how things go. Metro, on the other hand, they also feel very good about their team. They're aware that they have a very young team. They only have 4 seniors this year, but they're not suffering from the same deficit in players as MRH has. They have respect for MRH, but they know they also have to bring the energy, just as Miss Carmen said. I'm hearing this a lot, just energy, stamina, being able to play to their best ability. You really don't know how the other team will go. You don't know if they're a good team or a team that will be an easy win. You cannot take a day off because of what a strange season that it's been. Already we're into the game. Just over the net. By Ayana Jones. With just a tap, it goes right over the tape and lands in that area that sometimes isn't defended. People don't want to get too close up to the net. It's a little bit of an intimidating spot, but that's why you have attackers. Jones is subbed out. As Carmen was talking about Jones, she said she's a very coachable player. She's been playing very well. We've seen some very impressive and powerful serves coming from her, and she's been very influential in the past games. Maplewood gets there to save a ball that would have been out. Maplewood's libero with a great bump, but it is just in. If that had just a little bit more power on it, I'm sure that it would have gotten over. Metro is serving, and with a very strong serve, it is out of bounds. Chloe Moreland serving for Maplewood. Metro bumps it. And number 2, Abby Gerhard, a very tall player, just manages to spike it over the net, back into that area I was speaking about previously, that area where you have attackers that are supposed to be there, but it can be very intimidating to get that close to the net. And that's where she targeted. Metro sets it up and spikes it over, but it comes down on the wrong side of the net for Metro. And Chloe Moreland is serving again. Metro bumps it, spikes it over. Rachel Dickens saves it with a great dig. Maplewood bumps it over. Metro with a little bit of a collision there, but they managed to bump it back to Maplewood. Maplewood sets it up. And Tegendaw spikes it right over to the middle of the court, which, with a great dig, is saved by Metro. Maplewood fumbles a little bit on that. Currently, we're 4-3. Maplewood in the lead by 1 point. You need to have a 2-point lead to secure the set. currently we're tied, and you don't want to be tied in a game like this. It's required to have a 2-point lead to win a set. And what we saw in JV, but we're not seeing as much here, was lots of aces in the beginning. At JV, Maplewood racked up a lot of aces, managed to get ahead early. So when they were exhausted toward the end of the second set, when a little bit of that energy was gone, they had that cushion of all the aces that they managed to rack up. Metro's JV did fight to make up lost ground. That last match point was especially interesting. Abby Gerard serving. A strong serve to the middle of the court, which is set by Metro and sent right over. Maplewood's attackers doing a great job of blocking anything that could come over that net there. Unfortunately for Maplewood, it just hits the net there. Number 5, Wynn serving for Metro. Maplewood's libero bumps it up, and it's sent back over to Metro. Metro sets and spikes it, but it's such a powerful oh, look at that. A great dig by Maplewood's libero, Rachel Dickens, but it's not enough. The roof is a big problem in this game. We've got equipment, rafters, we've got a tarp, and we see a lot of really powerful serves and bumps ricochet off the ceiling, which completely changes the trajectory of the ball and the trajectory of the game, even as no one is really anticipating the ball landing where it sometimes can. Number 5, Wynn serving again for Metro. Rachel Dickens immediately bumps it, and it is bumped back to her. A little bit to her surprise, she wasn't able to get there in time. Communication error you usually see in JV. Wynn is serving again. We are tied once again. And a great dig by Rachel Dickens, which just gets over the net. Rachel Dickens was talking to me before the JV game, and she mentioned that before she was libero, when she was on JV, she was a defensive specialist. She shadowed another player on the team that showed her the ropes of that position before becoming a libero on the varsity team. A timeout has been called. Partly Metro is leading 10-7. We saw some very powerful serves from Wynn, who has served for the last couple of plays. And during the time that she has served, Metro was able to make up the lost ground and has actually gained the lead. Wynn's preparing to serve. A very powerful serve that ricochets off the libero from Maplewood and out of bounds. Coach Carmen, she's yelling out just a couple of tips to her players, especially about just how powerful we're seeing these serves come in from Wynn. It's hard to control those serves, and they can ricochet, bounce out of bounds. We saw that a number of times. Maplewood bumps it over to Metro. Metro sets it up. Doesn't have to even bother about spiking. It goes over and lands in an unprotected area. Wynn serving again. Wow. That was a bit of a roller coaster of a play there, with Rachel Dickens managed to bump it. There was a save, but it did go out of bounds. Wynn serves her first error of the game. Rachel Dickens is subbed out and replaced by Jones. Metro bumps it up, bumps it over. It's set by Tegan. Abby Gerhard bumps it. Wynn sets it. And it is just hammered over to Maplewood. Number 2, Abby Gerhard. I put her arms out expecting to be able to spike it back, but it just rolled off her fingertips there, and it was out. Metro's serving. Hits the net. I'm sure Maplewood is glad to have the serve back. Metro did a lot of damage there. We're currently at 14-9. Metro in the lead. That was a very impressive play from Metro, just how quickly they were able to rack up points there, especially with Wynn as their server. As I mentioned before, it's really good to get ahead at the beginning of the game, get those aces. It's a really great way to score without too many rallies, without much energy exerted. So when you get a little bit more exhausted towards the end of the set, you've got all of those aces, so you don't have to worry too much about the team getting within 2 points of you. Metro has a 6-point lead right now. Numbersell and Helena Roberts serving for Maplewood. And it hits the net. We've seen a number of server errors already, which is something we didn't see from JV, funny enough. We saw lots of aces, but so far in this game, we haven't seen many from Maplewood. We saw a lot for Metro, but not for Maplewood. And just like that, another ace for Metro. All right, number 16, Allison Gibson serving. Serve right to the middle of the court that is bumped by Tegan and set up by Gerhard. But it looks like that was a double touch. We saw a number of double touches for Metro's JV last game. A little bit of confusion there. There's one instance where there were 4 touches. Metro has lots of energy. They just scored a point off an unprotected area to the middle of the court. Set up by Maplewood. And it looked like a little bit of confusion there. Tegan tried to spike, but I don't think everyone was quite aware of where they needed to be in that circumstance. Metro serves again. A good serve by Metro, like a bit of a spike, but it looked like it was labeled a double touch by the ref. It's kind of hard when you're clumped up like that in the front. You might have your hand on the ball too long. You're kind of seeing where everyone is. Bumped over by Metro, set by Powell. And Gerhard attempts a spike, but it lands in the net. Maplewood's libero is back in. For those who are wondering or a little bit confused, as I understand the camera is a bit far away, Rachel Dickens is in the black top, black bottoms with white piping, and Metro's libero is in the white shirt with the black bottoms. Metro with a powerful serve that bounces off the net. Number 4, Chloe Moreland serving for Maplewood. A very good serve that is immediately bumped by Metro and spiked over right into an unprotected area of Maplewood's court. There really wasn't anybody there. That was very clever on Metro's part to assess that. Right, number 19, Mule Holland serving. Looked like it was a server error, unfortunately. Maplewood hoping to get ahead, but it's a little bit late for that. Currently, the score is 24-14. I think the scoreboard just got updated. They're really fighting for that point, but so is Maplewood. Maplewood sets it up, spikes it over. It's bumped by Metro. Metro sets it up, and it's sent just out. Maplewood is really hoping to stay in this game. Nobody wants to lose the first set. It kind of takes it out of you. Metro sets it up and loses it. We're at 16-24. Maplewood is managing to rack up some points that they lost toward the beginning of the game and really fighting to keep that match point from Metro. And unfortunately, with a server error, Metro wins the first set, and this puts them in a really good position. You have that energy, that invigoration from winning the first set, and it can carry you into the second set. So as I mentioned before in JV, it's more of a big deal in varsity where players have more stamina and experience to go to 5 sets. But what happens is we can do the 3 sets where a team wins 2 out of the 3 sets and then goes home, or you can request for there to be 5 sets. So the teams play to 5 sets and the winner of the majority wins the entire match. We saw this with Brentwood. Maplewood was in the lead of Brentwood. Brentwood was hoping for a better fighting chance. They had won that second set. Maplewood had won the 3rd set of the night, and then they decided to go to the 5 sets. Brentwood did not win. Maplewood took home that victory. But I don't think we've seen that again in this season. With Bayless, they just came in and won the first 2 sets, and it wasn't really necessary to play the 5 sets because of the lead that they had. But we'll see how tonight goes. Maplewood is really hoping to recapture that energy, pace themselves, and win this second set if they'd like to stay in it. It's very interesting. Usually what I've seen in the past is if the JV wins against the team, the varsity will also. In the past games, JV lost against Bayless and varsity lost against Bayless against Brentwood. Maplewood's JV won against Brentwood, and then their varsity also won against Brentwood. But here, it's changed up a little bit. Maplewood's JV won, but already Metro's varsity has won the first set of tonight's game. Both coaches have respect for the opposite team. It's very hard to judge how good a team is just looking at their stats because you don't know, how the other, their past wins. Like what state have those other teams been in? Have they been easy wins? Have they had to fight hard for them? It's just hard this season with so many players deciding to play club or not play at all. So Miss Carmen respects this team, know they will play really well. But Maplewood doesn't want to be intimidated by Metro. They plan to play as it was any game with all of their energy. Metro feels a similar way. They feel confident. They know they have to bring all their energy. This isn't going to be an easy game for them. Metro with a really powerful serve that ricochets off number 6, Addie Nevins. Dyer serves for Metro. Maplewood's libero gets in there and bumps it. Hannah Roberts bumps it back to Metro. Metro sets it up, but it gets tangled in the net. The point goes to Maplewood. Chloe Moreland is about to serve. She's one of the team's seniors. Really good serve that is immediately bumped up by Metro and bumped over. Hannah Roberts gets in there. The ball's chased out of bounds. Gives Metro the point. Speaking of Chloe Moreland, lots of the seniors on Maplewood's team have really stepped up this year. They've been doing a lot to nurture the younger players. That's a very big theme on Maplewood's team, the idea of just sisterhood, helping everyone on the team be the best version of themselves on the court as they can be. Rachel Dickens, before becoming a libero, actually shadowed other older players when she was on JV. And you see that a lot. You see seniors taking younger players under their wings and helping them just graduate to varsity. And when those seniors, when they've graduated, you've got this new team that has been taught by them. And I think that's really great. Of course, there is that deficit of senior players that you can get if all of your seniors have graduated. It can leave a hole no matter how well you train your players. So that's what Metro's varsity team has been experiencing. They only have 4 seniors this year. Metro serves it. Maplewood serves it. Metro bumps it back. Abby Stone just hammers it over. And despite a good dig by Metro, Maplewood has secured the point. We see a lot of that from Abby. She's a very powerful arm. Elena Roberts serves, and it hits the net. All right, number 16, Gibson serving for Metro. A good serve that is immediately bumped back. Dickinson's to Abby. Unfortunately, a little bit of a communication error there. It looked like number 14 and number 6 both ran. Gibson serving again. Allison Dickens is there on time. Abby bumps it over. Wynn sets it up for Metro. And it's just hammered back. And wow, that was a little bit of chaotic. There was some great back and forth. You saw the players there, those attacking players, really jumping up. Number 8, Sydney Robinson, was very tall, managed to just get up there and tap the ball lightly over. A very good blocker for Metro. Wynn spikes it over. Rachel Dickens saves it. And the notorious gym ceiling plays again. It looked like the volleyball hit the basketball hoop and came down where Rachel Dickens wasn't expecting it. It's the downfall of a low ceiling gym. Neffen bumps it over despite the confusion and scores a point for Maplewood. Abby Stone prepares to serve. She's some very powerful serves, as we saw right there. Bumped and set by Metro. Sent just over to Powell. And Nevin with a powerful spike. Metro sets it up. And despite a dig from Abby, it lands right where there's no one. That would have been a very hard spike to block. It was very, very low. I think that's number 7, Anna Steck. It's a little bit hard to see jersey numbers from up here. Metro sets it up. And Nevins, she manages to leap up and spike it back. Ellen Powell serves it just out of bounds. Currently, we're at 10-6. Metro is leading. Their lead isn't as considerable as it was last set, so Maplewood still has a fighting chance here. Addie Nevin spikes it over to Metro. Metro saves it from going out of bounds and bumps it back to Maplewood. Powell bumps it. Wait, no, that was number 14. That was Powell. Okay. All I see is like everyone's, like the top of their heads from up here. All right, so that gap is closing. MRH is at 7. Maplewood is MRH. Metro is at 10. Addie Nevins serves for Maplewood. Metro bumps it, sets it back. Abby gets there in time, and it is just tapped over to Metro. Metro is keeping it alive. And a very good play by Maplewood's attackers there. Number 19, Holland. I don't think she quite knew what to do with that. There's a little bit of depth perception that goes on with that tall, thin net there. You sometimes might not anticipate the ball landing on your side of the net. All right, Addie Nevins preparing to serve again. An ace for Addie Nevins. Addie serves. It's bumped by Metro. Almost hits the ceiling. It's bumped back to Maplewood. Abby bumps it, and Helena Roberts spikes it over to Metro. We're having quite a bit of a rally here. Win with a really powerful spike. That is just out of bounds. Addie Nevins with a powerful bump. I mean, a serve, but that was bumped by Metro. Set up by Maplewood. Metro spikes it over there. And again, in that little corner that we saw come into play earlier in this game, Metro scores another point in that area. It's hard toward the end of the set. Everyone's exhausted / energized a little bit from the game. You tend to clump up towards the front, not really expecting anything to go to the corners of your side of the court. And that's where we've seen about 2 points scored by Metro, just in that corner there. Wynn is preparing to serve again. It is out. Jones is preparing to serve. She's a very powerful arm, and she's, according to Miss Carmen, grown a lot as a player. And seeing her play, she has really shown her strength as an attacker in past games. All right, number 15, Ella Dyer, serving for Metro. A really very powerful serve that just goes out. Number 4, Chloe Moreland, preparing to serve for Maplewood. Metro sets it up and spikes it over. A really powerful spike by number 19, New Holland. Rachel Dickens is now standing in that area, hoping for that there won't be a repeat of what we just saw. And there kind of was a repeat, unfortunately. New Holland serving again. Rachel attempts a dig, but it just goes out. Metro is celebrating their next ace. They're managing to really get a number of aces out of their current server. And this is how you can get the points without the constant rallies. It's always good to, rack up those aces, which we saw a bit on Maplewood's JV, but currently looks like Metro's varsity is getting ahead with that strategy. First they had Wynn, now they have New Holland, who are very strong servers. Nevin sets it up. It's bumped by Abby. And number 14, Ellen Powell, tries to get in there, but it goes out of bounds. I'm sure she was probably expecting Abby to send it over to Metro. It can be a little bit hard to communicate in the heat of the moment. All right, Metro's number 16, Gibson, preparing to serve. Abby with a powerful bump. That is redirected by Powell. Abby Stone with a really strong serve that Metro just manages to contain. Unfortunately, looks like Robinson, the volleyball just rolled off her hand there, giving Maplewood an ace. Abby's hoping to do the same thing this time. Number 16 saves that remarkably well. But it doesn't look like Wynn was able to get there in time to redirect that. After suffering from Metro's aces, I think Maplewood is closing that gap. Spiked over. Chloe Moreland manages to get there in time. Nevins bumps it over. Unfortunately, it's out. Currently, the score is 20-17. Metro is in the lead by 3 points. They need a 2-point lead to win the set, and if they win the set, they will get to go home the winners of tonight's game. All right, number 7, Anna Steck serving for Metro. Abby, with one bump, gets it back to Metro. We're having a bit of a volley, a bit of a fight of the attackers there. Powell not really able to get that ball over the net. A really good serve that played off a bit of a communication error on Maplewood's side. It looked like Powell and Jones both expected that they were going to spike that ball back to Metro. Maplewood sends the ball back in a single bump. Metro is currently playing back and forth with it. Nevins just bumps it over, barely rolls over the tape. And number 8, Robinson, we're seeing a lot of great blocking from her. Metro bumps it over, and although it looked like Chloe Moreland was right there. It was such a powerful serve. It looked like it just ricocheted out of bounds. Steck serving again. Abby Stone accidentally bumps it out of bounds. That is what can be hard when it comes to such a powerful serve. You really don't know what to do with it. It kind of lands in your lap. It can ricochet. I'm sure Metro is glad to have racked up so many aces, and that has won them the second set. Just like that. I think what we've seen here is just so many aces being scored, some amazing serves, especially from Mueland and Wynn. They've just come in and attacked the back of the court in the corners where there hasn't been anyone. Maplewood and Metro played really well, but for Maplewood, despite some good serving by Jones, there were a couple of moments where there were communication errors where multiple people expected that the ball would be spiked over the net, but instead it was bumped to somebody on their side of the court. Also, I think the saddest play of the night was the low ceiling that once again made an appearance when Rachel Dickens bumped the ball and it hit the rafters on the ceiling and the basketball hoop there, and it came right back down in front of her. I mean, nobody was expecting that, and it's really disappointing when something out of your control has a part to play in the game. There's lots of discussing going on. Don't go away yet. There is a chance that they might decide to play to 5 sets, a new rule that has recently been introduced. Maplewood played against Brentwood, but Brentwood had won the second set while they had won the first and the third, so they were a little bit more ahead of Maplewood than where Maplewood is currently. But we're seeing a lot of discussing, probably going over the game again. I'm going to take a short break just to rest my voice for a second. All right, guys, we are back. Sorry for that slight delay. It looks like we are playing to the 5 sets. So although Maplewood has lost 2 sets so far, we are playing the third set. And if Maplewood loses that third set, then we're going home for tonight. So this is a new rule that I'm sure is taking a little bit of getting just adjusted to with the new 5 set rule that we're playing with here. Originally, in past circumstances, Maplewood, having lost 2 sets, would just go home for the night. Metro would have won, but instead we're going 5 sets. Maplewood still has a chance. If they win this third set, we will be playing the whole 5 sets. Abby Stone's about to serve for us. Metro sets it up and spikes it over. Addie Nevins bumps it into the ceiling. Everyone's watching, hoping that it doesn't get stuck or sent in a different direction. A very good, just a slight tap to spike it over to Maplewood. Stone tries to dig and save it, but she doesn't need to. It looks like it was declared a double tap. So she gets to serve again. Unfortunately, that was a server error. Metro is now serving, number 12. Aria Thompson serving. Yeah, I was just talking to some JV players that shared with me. They're like, yeah, we're playing to 5 sets. If Maplewood can just win this third set, we won't be losing. We'll play to 5 sets. We'll have a greater chance. So I'm sure that's sort of what's being hoped for, but it is pretty exhausting to go to 5 sets. I mean, I'm kind of exhausted just watching them, so. A great tap by Metro. A set. Metro very excited there. Number 7, Steck manages to spike it while Maplewood is clumped up near the net. Number 19, Neil Holland with another powerful serve that is blocked by number 14, Ellen Powell. Rachel Dickens, Maplewood's libero, steps in. For everyone joining us, MRH is in the blue with the black bottoms, and Metro is in all black. Maplewood's libero, Rachel Dickens, is in black, and to make things a little bit difficult, Metro's libero is in white. A great dig by Abby that is saved by Nevins and bumped over to Metro. It's set up by Wynn. Ray Moreland bumps it over. It's set up, but it is sent into the net. That was a very good play on both teams. There was lots of saves and digs. All right, a timeout has been called. Score is currently 4-7. Metro is in the lead. Wynn serves an ace. All right, Tegendahl serving for Maplewood. Unfortunately, it is out and it goes back to Metro. All right, number 7, Steck serving again. We're seeing more server errors in varsity than we did JV, which I found interesting and I haven't really seen before yet. where varsity is causing more server errors than JV. So I'm sure the exhaustion is setting in. We're at the third set. JV only did 2. It looks like Addie Nevins attempting a spike. Sort of double touched the ball there, resulting in Metro gaining the serve. Sydney Robbins. What? That was a really powerful spike there. Like, she just jumped and slammed that thing. Unfortunately, it was out, but I mean, we can still admire it as a very powerful spike. Chloe Moreland sets it up. Nevins with another powerful spike that lands in the net. Score is currently 6-12. Metro's in the lead, and by the looks of it, they might just win all 3 sets of tonight. Maplewood is still hanging in there. Rachel bumps it up. Chloe with a bump, and Abby tries to get there in time. And again, we see it get sent into the net. This is about the 3rd net ball that we've seen from Maplewood in the space of like 3 minutes. Maplewood's libero gets there in time. Abby with another net ball. For everyone who's joining us, we're at the Maplewood Richmond Heights gym. It is Maplewood's varsity team against Metro's varsity team. Metro has just subbed in their libero, Ava Elliott, whilst Maplewood has just set out their libero. Maplewood celebrates an ace. Addie Nevins, who we saw some great spikes from, is serving. Metro manages to save what they had hit out, and it's back to Maplewood. Chloe Moreland bumps it, and it is sent over by Abby Gerhard to Metro. Abby Stone to Abby Gerhard. Metro sets it up and prepares a powerful spike that gets in that back of the court area where we've seen a number of other points be scored off of. It's a little bit hard to defend that area because towards the end of the set, you start clumping up to the front of the court to just protect and to block, and those areas can sometimes get targeted, the back of the court area. Metro scores another point. I don't think Ellen Powell saw that coming. Allison Gibson serving for Metro. Another ace for Metro. Metro serves. Nevins tries to get there in time, but it is bumped out of bounds. All right, number 16, Allison Gibson serving again for Metro. Rachel is there, but number 19, Mulholland, we've seen this a number of times. It's very tall with just the slightest tap. She manages to block the ball from her side of the court. We're seeing very powerful serves from her and some great blocking. Rachel Dickens has, for the past couple of plays, managed to get to right where the ball is going, but after that bump, we're having a little bit of communication difficulties on Maplewood's side. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but it's sort of happening. Like, Metro bumps it, and with a slight touch from Mulholland, she gets it back to Maplewood. Maplewood struggling with it. Allison Gibson preparing to serve again, probably hoping for another ace. Abby Gerhard sends it back with a single bump. The two Abbies there, Abby Stone and Abby Gerhard, defending that one particular area was a great force, and they managed to secure a point that way. Tegan is joining the team, subbing in for Powell. Abby prepares to serve. Wynn bumps it over to Maplewood, but Maplewood manages to block Abby serving again. Currently, we're at 10-21. Metro is at 21, now 22, seeing as Abby has scored out of bounds. All they need is 3 more points, and they get to go home the winners tonight. MRH is still hanging on, but they're more than half behind. Chloe Moreland sets it up, and Abby Gerhard just hammers it over to Metro. Metro sets it up, and Wynn sends it right to Abby. And again, we have the painful ceiling of the gym, which has caused another ball to ricochet off the rafters and land on Maplewood's side of the court. Chloe Moreland serving for Maplewood. Metro's libero bumps it. It's set and bumped back to Maplewood's libero. Amber Day bumps it to Abby Stone. Abby Stone sends it to Metro. Now Metro with a really powerful spike that is blocked by number 2, Abby Gerhard. All right, Neil Holland is serving for Metro. She racked up a number of aces last time she was serving. And this is the match point. So if she gets this, then Metro has won. And just like that, Metro has won 3 out of 3 sets. Both teams played remarkably well. The final score is 17-24. Metro winning all 3 of those sets. It was interesting. MRH JV won against Metro's JV. But as for their varsity teams, Metro manages to take home that victory. I don't believe there's any hard feelings between the teams. I'm sure everyone was excited to just have some sort of season this year, especially with such a rocky year. Maplewood being out of school for over 300 days with online learning. I'm not sure about Metro, what they did during this time, but it was very touch and go on whether or not kids could play. So I'm sure everyone's just happy to have a game. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. We just had varsity Metro versus Maplewood play. Metro has won. And all right, I'm sure the soccer game is still continuing outside. That's what Michael is commentating. So if you would like to check on that, I'm sure you can find it on MRH's website, on MRH's YouTube channel. All right, thank you for tuning in and have a good evening.